Did you ever see one of those ideas that probably looked and sounded like a really great idea when someone came up with it, but then as things progressed, you've looked at it and realized, wow, that was just a really bad idea. Well, that's kind of the way I feel about Quora. Now, Quora was originally started with this idea that it would be a great place to crowdfund answers to questions that people really wanted to get answers to. And indeed, if you look on Quora, you'll probably find that I've contributed a number of answers on there. But not all of them have been gentlemanly. I have to confess that I have often kind of strayed a little bit away from my ethic of kindness because the sad fact is that no matter how many stupid people you think there are in the world, there are more. I mean, some of the cases we talk about on this channel are pretty much living proof of that. And recently, there has been an upsurge in questions that are asked on Quora that are not good faith questions to be asked on Quora. Now, I'm going to show you one of them here because it's absolutely outrageous to me, and I'm a little bit offended. Well, no, I'm a lot offended by the way this question is asked. So the gestalt of the question, I may not be reading it verbatim up here, but the gestalt of the question is, what would a gun owner do if I grabbed his wife and pinned her to the ground and said I wouldn't let her up until he gave up all of his guns, or some madness like that? The whole question is pretty much pathetically ridiculous, but I haven't answered that question because I'm afraid that my answer might get me in trouble on Quora, because here is what my answer would be to that question. Son, first of all, you have no idea what kind of trouble you have just walked into, because I did not marry a shrinking violet from the city. I married a country girl from Alabama. And about the time you laid hands on her, you would be looking for either an oral surgeon or a rectal surgeon to help you out of a very painful predicament that you had just gotten yourself into. Because I can assure you that you would never pin my wife to the ground without suffering a great deal of injury in the process. So, to answer your question, what would I do? I'd dial 911 and wait for the cops to show up and for the ambulance to come to take you away, because I can guarantee you this would not work out well for you. But it led me to this idea that maybe I should do a video on taking the bait. Because almost any hot button issue that you can think of, the presidency, Donald Trump, the inflation, the economy, abortion, guns, any of that, you can find questions that are just not asked in good faith. Let me show you a few more here. None of these questions are asked in good faith. This is the thought behind many of these questions. The thought is, I'll ask a really inane question, and then I'll get somebody who is a passionate advocate on the other side to say things that are outrageous, and then I will use that as an argument for my position. Now, common sense should tell us that in a democracy we should strive toward consensus, so long as that consensus is consistent with morals and good behavior, right? So ideally, what we should not do is just pick a fight for the fun of throwing punches, whether those are physical or rhetorical, as would be in the case of Quora. But it annoys me no end to see people engage in exactly this kind of behavior. Now, to be honest, most of the answers that I have seen on Quora from people who have engaged with these folks, and it's not a whole lot of them. I mean, a lot of people just look at that and go, who wants to answer that question? But a lot of people have come back and given thoughtful and very articulate, responsive responses to those questions, which I salute. But the idea that you could be baited into saying something that is outrageous just because you're annoyed led me to think about, what I would have done if I had really been annoyed, and to realize that, there's just a lot of times when you have to be a smart fish. And, you see that worm crawling around on the water up there, and it's a tasty worm, and you just love to take a bite out of it, but there is a hook in that worm. And so my advice to everybody today is to chill out. Don't get into troll wars with imbeciles on the internet. There's a great meme. I haven't seen it in years now, but it's a guy who's sitting at his computer, and the clock on the wall behind him shows that it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and his wife says, "Come to bed, honey." And he says, "No, no, no. There's somebody who's wrong on the internet, and I have to fix him." There are just a lot of people you can't fix. As one of my t-shirts says, you can't fix stupid, not with duct tape. The only thing it does is muffle the sound a little bit. You just can't fix these things, and taking the bait is not a good idea. I know because I've done it. I've actually gotten in trouble on Quora for that because I said what I thought. And later on, I realized, that's probably not a good idea. I should probably go in there and retrieve that answer and get rid of it, because that's not who I wanted to be, right? But it made me smile to think about what would actually happen if somebody did that to my wife. Oh my goodness. that would be such a bad thing for them. So my advice is, if somebody's going to try that, I hope they try it somewhere other than Alabama or Florida. That's what I have for you today. It's a short one, I'm sorry, but again, this just tickled my funny bone, and I thought it might tickle yours. Do a kindness for someone if you can today. Go fight hunger if there's a way to do that in your community, and catch me down here at the beach next time. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.